These are the golden weaver ants, and I've built them, this breathtaking rainforest vivarium, out of this glass box. In this video, I'll show you how I did it and if they accepted their new home. Enjoy! We'll start by removing the lid and grabbing some felt pads. We'll place these on the corners so the box slides smoothly, protecting both the ants and the box, and ensuring the ants' tunnels don't collapse from vibrations. Next, we'll take expanded clay. This absorbs moisture well and forms the bottom layer. If we add too much water, the clay will absorb it and slowly release it again. Together with this drainage fleece, we have a separate layer that protects our vivarium. The fleece prevents the soil from mixing with the wet clay, which avoids things like plant root rot. And now let's mix the soil. I have a little left over, but I'll need more, so I'm using my trusted rainforest soil. The products I use are linked in the description. Just like these bark pieces, they give the whole setup a great forest feel and retain moisture longer. Perfect for our soil mix. Of course, the whole thing is rounded off with activated charcoal. This helps keep our vivarium mold-free and filtered. I mix it all by eye until I feel there's enough without distracting from the rainforest look. Then I moisten everything with distilled water so it's less dusty while mixing. You can't avoid it completely, but you can add more water bit by bit. This also helps the plants feel at home in the soil later. When the soil can be shaped well, it's ready for the next step. First, we fill the bottom with soil and press it down so the tunnels don't collapse later due to loose earth. Once we've set the foundation, we can place this beautiful piece of wood. This brings another level into the vivarium, which we can fill with our soil. Now the entire background can be filled in, creating a slope that allows us to observe everything in the vivarium. Fitting for weaver ants, we are now giving them something to weave between. These branches offer the ants plenty of space and opportunity to weave their nests. To go with this, we'll place with Tillandsia and the branches. It's an air plant and doesn't need to be placed in soil. Its offshoots can also be easily woven into. To match, I've selected Mediocalca decuratum. With proper care, it forms fabulous little orange blossoms that will be a real eye-catcher against the green. It can also be mounted, but we'll give it a chance by planting it with its substrate. But our branch structure can be even more intricate. So I combined another branch with the one we've already have, and together they form an aerial labyrinth that the ants will hopefully go wild on. With the Masdevallia nidifica, we have a small growing orchid that produces wonderfully delicate reddish-brown flowers. I'm also planting this one with its airy substrate, hoping it will still feel at home in the soil as it calm accents in the foreground. That's where I'm also placing a third branch. This rounds off the picture and lets the branch structure flow nicely from the top left to the bottom right. The whole thing is rounded off with a few small stones, which can define areas and create steps. But of course I got distracted and added a final fourth branch. This one connects the lower part better with the plateau, and we can finally start with my favorite part. Here I have some moss. This moss takes every vivarium to a new level. What previously looked brown and bare becomes a living landscape full of freshness. I make sure to place the moss so it has good contact with the ground, helping it to root well. You can also use it to guide where the ants can easily dig. Although ants can also dig well under the moss. In the end, they always do what they want. Then I add a few more stones, making sure the moss also surrounds the stones a bit. Otherwise, it looks like the stone was just placed on top, but we want them to be integrated. This also works well by using smaller pebbles. These are great for filling gaps and creating transitions. A few sprinkles here and there give everything some character, and the group of stones also look more complete with smaller companions. The whole thing gets a shower with distilled water to refresh everything, and the first thing to appear is a moss scorpion. He must have entered the vivarium with a moss. Doesn't he look cool? Of course he's not a real scorpion, but he still hunts springtails and thus contributes to our vivarium. But now we're giving the whole vivarium a day to settle and see what awaits us on the next day. And the next day is something else. Behind the fog and the mist and dew, we find a land full of wonders. What's revealing itself here will hopefully become the new home for our colony. But that's just a guess until we try. Our little orchid is still covered in fresh dew, but we move right on to our centerpiece with the branches that will bring our ants so much joy. From there, it's not far to our air plant, which thrones above everything and marks the path to the summit. The high plane that leads us gently down the slope into our valley, which releases us into the full imposing overview. Isn't it wonderful? And to get the whole thing completely ready for our ants, we have white isopods. These little crawlers are only slightly smaller than our ants, but they feed on all the scraps in the vivarium, helping us keep it clean and prevent mold. They excrete the remains and thus converting things like food scraps back into fertile soil for the plants. And to support the isopods, we'll add, as always, tropical springtails. They will adapt to the food supply in the vivarium and will tackle any mold. This keeps the vivarium healthy and fresh. Together with the isopods, we have a team that finally makes the vivarium ready for the ants. And to keep them in the vivarium, we need an escape barrier. For this, I'm using paraffin oil again. It's visually nice and clear and creates a surface the ants can get a grip on. Theoretically, they could build something to get over it, but that's a problem for my future self, I guess. For now, there's nothing stopping us from finally getting to our protagonists. A small round of applause for the Polyrhachis divas. Or at least what we can see of them. This lively colony has workers that tirelessly explore their surroundings. They are about 6 to 8 millimeters large and have a golden gaster, which makes them a real eye-catcher. They have impressive climbing skills, which they need for their very special specialty. We can already see this when we look at the opening of the nest. And that white stuff that looks like silk, you can actually call it that, because these are webs woven by the ants. For this, the ants use the larvae. The larvae spins cocoons to pupate into adult ants. But at some point, workers discovered that these threads can also be used to weave entire nests, and they use their larvae like a kind of glue gun. This is how they build their nests, often near the ground and the undergrowth, weaving everything available into large nests that are constantly expanding. And this exact colony is what we are carefully placing into our vivarium now. Uncovered, their impressive weaving skills become clearly visible. They've woven the entire test tube and you can only make out the contents vaguely. Quite the opposite of the opening. With curiosity and caution, the new environment is inspected. Whenever we build vivariums, this is the most exciting moment. And how the ants react is always different, but also somehow the same. The first worker makes circles around the opening, securing the area. But without further ado, the workers' high spirits take over, and the colony is immediately informed about everything new. Information is being passed on right here, and the colony is in an uproar. Because they have something to protect. With a little effort, you can see their fresh eggs and larvae here. These are the future of the colony, and as you can see, there are a lot of them. Pupae can also be seen from the side. They are bigger than you think. And what's that right next to the pupae? That's the queen, isn't it? That could very well be. And this colony doesn't just have one, but 2 whole queens. This is called polygynous. So multiple queens raising the colony together. This means the colony's growth can explode, and if they accept the vivarium, we'll have to expand it soon, but one step at a time. It was fabulous to watch the workers' acrobatic feats on the branches. Their masterful skills harmonize brilliantly with their lifestyle, and the confidence they show is impressive time and time again. I'm hoping the workers will spin their nests somewhere here over time. They'll probably start small and inconspicuous, but over time they will create fascinating constructs of an unknown scale. But it wasn't just the branches being inspected. The other plants were too, but we still have the rest of the workers who are surely very confused about where the colony suddenly they went. Of course, we are not leaving them to their fate. Now that the colony isn't just panicking and running around, we have a chance to place the remaining ants right in front of the nest. They don't know the new environment yet, but they know the smell of their colony and their home. So if they want, they can go straight into the nest and say hello to their queen. Taking a step back, the hustle and bustle is clear to see. Hardly a corner remains unknown, even after such a short time. And if we are lucky, some spot is a potential new home for our new young colony. You can hardly take your eyes off the workers as they run over all the branches again and again. And they aren't afraid to explore the ground either. All 3 axes were dominated by them, and whether it was wood, plant or soil, it was always easy for the ants to navigate and coordinate. In the nest, meanwhile, everything was as usual, which means it was busy there too, but the workers are always on the move anyway, so it doesn't make a big difference. But then I noticed something strange. There's something unusual hiding in there. Do you see those large wings? Again and again, I tried to get a clear look, but getting a clear view through the woven walls was very tricky. And then, finally, I had a chance to clearly identify what it was. A male! This colony has actually raised a male. This is very unusual for small colonies and probably means that our colony was once part of a larger one and was separated from it. That's why the colony is likely older than we previously thought and is already capable of raising reproductives. Now, there's what I call a surprise. Hopefully, another surprise is what we'll get to see the next day. Maybe we'll see another move, like with our other Vivariums. So I'm setting up my time-lapse setup again, eagerly watching the result, but as you can see, not much happened. So let's move on to something else. All this crawling around uses energy, which the ants get from insects. A few cut up crickets could be exactly what the ants need right now. And as soon as they were in the vivarium, a cricket was immediately sampled. Although it looked more like the juices were being licked off. The crickets were frozen until just a moment ago and are still cold. But the body fluids that are now flowing are also nutritious and are apparently being lapped up by the ants. But to be absolutely sure, I'll add a few more pieces for the ants. And here and there, the ants found the food. But not all were interested. It's interesting to see them nibble, and the more the crickets unfreeze, the more attractive they become. But it seemed to me that they'll still need something else. So I reached for my secret weapon, which has made every ant weak so far. A Gavy nectar. This sweet and vicious mixture drives ants crazy, and as soon as it was placed in the vivarium, I could count the seconds until it was discovered. Though this worker seemed rather perplexed about where this giant feast suddenly came from, but her sister ant didn't need to be asked twice. Neatly, and almost with manners, as if at a set table, the sweet nectar was consumed. The guard also seemed to be getting curious. She was a bit clumsy, but as soon as the liquid coated her mandibles, it was all over for her. More and more workers found the food, and you got the feeling that in their sugar rush, they sometimes completely forgot that the mixture is also sticky. Half sticky and half delighted, they feasted away, side by side with their cricket-devouring sisters. Whatever the ants need, they should get it. And they got it. They gnawed on the cricket legs, and I was sure they would get everything out of the cricket, and the springtails and white isopods will take care of the rest. But one ant here seems to have overdone it a bit. Sometimes I wasn't sure if the ants still had sufficient control over the situation. But as you can see, they are more resilient than I thought. With much difficulty, but sticky and happy, you can find the sweet ants in the moss, licking themselves clean and trying not to stick to the surroundings. We should probably give them another day and check on them after they've recovered. And one day later, you can see right away that I've covered the old nest. If they don't want to move immediately, the light shouldn't stress them out. The high humidity is curling the cardboard, which is why it's not lying completely flat. But it doesn't need to, because look at this. The colony is gone. In the front of the test tube, the food scraps they brought in have unfortunately already started to mold a bit. But that's not sad, because the colony has moved out completely as a whole, which gives us a unique look at the isolated webs. But where on earth did they go? Can you see it? Up here on the left in our air plant, we can already see a small cluster of workers. And if you look at the side, it's unmistakable. They seem to have excavated the soil and created a new little home for themselves. Like little scouts, the ants are positioned on the individual leaves of the air plant, and they are not the only ones finding space there. The male has also positioned himself perfectly, perhaps to start a mating flight. I don't expect that to happen soon, as the colony has completely different tasks right now, but I wonder if the male even cares about that. Wonderfully placed against the glass are the eggs and larvae, and it becomes beautifully clear again how productive the two queens are. These larvae will probably soon be used to form a new nest here in the branches of the air plant in the soil. The site is relatively dark due to the overhead lighting and being obscured by the plant, so I feel comfortable here. A good moment to remove the old nest and admire our vivarium with our new golden weaver ant colony for the first time. Soon everything here will be woven together, and the colony will likely need several more vivariums in the near future. And of course I'll take you along for that, and you'll see it here on the channel first. If you want to see more of these videos, give the video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for regular videos. If you'd like, you can also become a channel member to buy the ants some food. Thanks to the support of channel members, these videos are easier to make for me, and memberships start at €2. Feel free to check out one of the videos here, and we'll see each other again in a moment. Ciao.